Hey guys, it's Thorn, and I do not know what week it is in the YouTube Pagan Challenge. So, as some of you have probably noticed, I am not on Facebook, which means that I don't have access to the newest and latest and most current of whatever my YouTube brethren are up to. So I really rely on the people I subscribe to. And the thing is, like this time of year, actually, I'm surprised it's held together this long. Like, challenges fall apart in the first few weeks, and everybody's doing something different now. So I don't know. Some people are posting. I think we're in the mid-20s, and I'm looking because I have a screenshot that somebody posted that I Googled. Right, that's how organized I am with this. So I think we're in the mid-20s. So I kind of thought just like generally talk a little bit about some of what's going on here in 20-ish, 25-ish, I don't know. Some of these are related too. So how about 26 and 27? Let's do those. Sound good? You in? Okay. So 26 is, do you or how do you meditate? I actually wrote a blog about this 2 months ago. I don't meditate ever if I can help it. I think it's kind of this funny thing where, if you read, it doesn't even matter what kind of magical whatnot you're into. It could be like the hardest core, blackest, darkest, most masculine traditional witchcraft, or it could be like, your love and light, like Barnes & Noble Wicca, or it could be New Age whatever, or it could be like your trad Wicca, whatever, okay? It doesn't matter what you're into. All of the books say that you're not going to get anywhere unless you meditate, okay? And like chapter 1 is how to quiet your mind and sit in front of an altar and practice with a candle and gaze at a flame, right? So I spent the bulk of my adolescence gazing at flames because my personality has always been, I'm very by the book, I'm very structured, I'm super type A, I'm like, it's why I'm good at school, right? Why academia was a natural fit. I will do what the books tell me to do, and I've done that my whole life. So when all of the books tell you that you need to meditate every day and you need to get up early, and if your spirituality isn't worth getting up 20 minutes earlier, then what are you doing with your life? Like that kind of stuff. Start with 5 minutes and then work up to whatever. If you're lucky, the book tells you to start at 5 minutes and work up. But a lot of them are like, yeah, sit for 20 minutes, half an hour until you're there for out. Like, I am not refuting the value of meditation, okay? That is not my purpose. However, I do dispute the idea that it is mandatory or required. Let me unpack that a little, okay? What people mean, I think, when they say that meditation is essential is that control over your mind is essential, right? Control over your body, right? Control is essential, okay, to whatever extent that's possible for you, all right? You don't want to be in the kind of situation where you can't focus on something magically because your mind is, because you're anxious or because your thoughts are wandering or whatever. Like, you need to be able to rein that shit in sometimes, okay? It's just like public speaking or presentation, right? Like, you have to, if you're going to put on a performance, you have to be able to block everything else out, and you have to focus on what you're doing, and you have to kick ass at it without letting other things distract you. Okay? Like, that is fundamentally what's going on when we're talking about focus and magical practice, right? Like, you have to be able to shut out the voices in your head that are telling you, like, this is stupid, you look weird, or none of your friends are going to like you if they find out that you do this, right? Like, you have to be able to quiet things to some extent, and everybody's a little bit different, all right? But in order to be an effective witch, you do not need to be able to sit in front of an altar unmoving for 20 minutes with your legs folded in lotus position and your hands in some stupid mudra that you don't understand, okay? Like, we talk like the act of meditation is inherently spiritual. Like, if you don't meditate, you're not spiritual, and people who meditate the most are super spiritual, right? Like people get competitive over things like this, okay? And if those things are important to you and they're beneficial, and again, I'm not saying that they're not beneficial, but I think there's this element of shame behind it for people who, for whatever reason, cannot meditate. If you're just physically not capable of sitting for long periods, maybe you're chronically ill, or you know what I mean? Like there are lots of really, really good reasons to not sit on one of those damn Whole Foods pillows for an hour at 5 a.m. Okay, like my workday starts at 6 a.m. I'm not getting up 20 minutes earlier. Like fuck you. like I'm just not. And like having this endless parade of intro books making it sound like you can only truly be spiritual if you meditate in this particular way. Like, that's ridiculous. Okay? So, no. But man, when I was a teenager, I took meditation classes, right? Like, I took so much yoga, guys. So much yoga. And I did all these things because I was assured, right, that, like, this was the key. All right? And as I got older and as I really kind of became more grounded and started figuring life out better, I realized that there are a lot of other things you can do to reach the same ends. We have a very narrow idea of what meditation is, okay? And like kind of the stereotype that I painted a minute ago where I was talking about like stupid mudras and Whole Foods pillows. It's not because mudras are stupid, okay? It's because we latch onto things that we read in books or we see on the internet that we don't understand, and we do them because we assume that they're inherently spiritual, and then we get frustrated and we wonder why we're not progressing at anything. Okay? And it's because those things don't mean anything to us. So there are other ways to achieve the same kinds of benefits without assuming that everything has to look like that stereotype. Okay? So for me, I figured out it took a long time, but I figured out that I get the same kind of benefit out of sports, right? When I was in college, I started practicing Taekwondo, and I was really, really into Taekwondo. Okay. I was competitive. I was at our school like every other night. Actually, that's not true. It was every night for the most part. And it was like hours of my week. And that is when my brain was most able to focus, and I felt like I had the most control over my thinking and over my body. And it never mattered like how good I was at it, okay? It was just a way of kind of quieting things and focusing. And now for me, it's running, and it's writing and making art, okay? And I'm not a good runner, okay? Like I'm slow as hell, and it's awkward, and whatever, but when I get out there, that's all I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about my breathing and just putting one fucking foot in front of the other one, and that does more for me. That does more to like quiet myself and increase my focus. That does more than gazing at all of the candle flames, okay? With art and writing, again, like I'm really not an artist, okay? Like I really just like color and texture, and I kind of just like mooshing things around on paper. And when I'm doing that stuff, that's all I focus on. I've had similar experiences when I'm reading and writing. I think what's valuable is just being able to connect to something, and I'm speaking broadly, like whatever that phrase might mean to you. I think our ideas about meditation are super narrow, right? They come from a place, right? This is like, I mean, like this is just like turn of the century kind of imperialism where we sort of like look to the East because they're so wise, right? And like Asians are just inherently more spiritual, like, right? Like white people have been doing this forever. And I feel like that's still kind of what's going on when you read some of these books and they're like, now put your fingers in these positions because they're inherently more spiritual. And like, they don't say that, but they basically do. And we ignore the reality that there are other ways for people to reach the same ends that don't involve telling people that they're doing it wrong because they're not meditating the way that you think they should be meditating. So there, if you've been trying to meditate and you're failing, that's okay. You're normal. And there are other things that you can do to come to the same ends. I'm going to put a link to that blog I wrote. And again, like for like the dozenth time, okay, like meditation is great. I'm not saying that it's not beneficial. It is. And if you meditate every day, that's awesome. Like, I think you guys are so impressive. Like, seriously. I had a housemate in college who got up at 5 a.m. and he would meditate for like an hour before class. I'm like, shit. I mean, that, like, I'm super impressed, okay? But that's not better than me getting up and running, right? Like, that's not more spiritual than me going out with my bow and shooting, right? Like, I think mentally we're still accomplishing something comparable. Neither activity is less beneficial when it comes to magical practice or connecting with the gods or whatever. So there. Do I meditate? No, at least not the way you probably think. Do I do magical exercises to quiet my mind? Absolutely. Do I contemplate stillness? Absolutely. Okay. But I'm not doing it in this kind of TV way that I think we sort of bandy about like it's just something everybody should be doing. And we're already at almost 12 minutes, so I am not going to go on to the next question. I will just make more videos. Okay.